The weekend is here, so just sit tight. Dominique trades in his Celtic green for the myth of Zeus. It is no myth in Oakland. The Raiders prove you can go home again. And who else is near the top of the leaderboard? Which of these leaders has his team as college football's new #1? Thomas Enquist had more than he could handle with tennis's #1. And #1 was what they were supposed to be. We'll explain the collapse of the Yanks. So proceed with your normal weekend activities and leave the driving to us. Sports Center next.
Hello and welcome to Sports Center. Along with Susie Colbert, I'm Steve Levy.
We've got 30 minutes to tell you how timing crushed the U.S. relay team today, that the clock is ticking on the Yanks, and at this hour, one pro golfer has a few more gray hairs.
And for good reason. His immediate future and status could be in jeopardy. There's a good chance that the guy with his head buried in his hands at the PGA Championship is Ryder Cup captain Lanny Wadkins. He's looking for 2 players to fill out his U.S. squad, but he can't do anything about players already on the team. His top 4 guys, Pavin, Lehman, Love, and Mickelson, all missed the cut in this final major tune-up. So how's the other side been doing? Well, 6 of the 7 European Ryder Cup players made the cut. Third-round action today from the PGA Championship at the Riviera Country Club. Fuzzy Zoeller had an ace on Thursday. Zoeller on the par 3, 16th. Almost another ace within inches. He shot a 75, finished at +3. Jeff Maggart started the day at 7 under, 4 back. Maggart on 9, the birdie, reached 13 under. After a birdie on 17. Ernie Els started the day tied for the lead with Mark O'Meara. Els on 3. Pulls out from the bunker. He moved to 13 under. Els on 11. Pitching from the fringe for the Eagle. Moved to 15 under and a 3-shot lead. Mark O'Meara tried to recover from the Els onslaught. Just misses the chip-in birdie on 12. O'Meara would stay within a shot, though, through 17. Ernie Els is your leader, a 3-shot leader. It's a new PGA record of 16 under, 197 through 3 rounds. Only 6 players have played all 4 rounds of the PGA under 70. Palmer, Crenshaw, Trevino, Azinger, and Norman and Faldo. Els will go for that tomorrow. Jay Haas came to the 18th hole, needing a birdie to equal the lowest round in a major, but left his second shot short of the green, but still managed to save par.
I started off, I didn't hit a shot for a while, and I was 1 under par, and Jack was shaking his head, and then I started hitting some good shots on the backside and played pretty well coming in, but only had 3 2-putts, the rest were 1-putts. It was just, but not too many long ones, just a lot of chipping and putting.
I knew there was going to be guys making birdies today, so I felt like I had to play aggressive and try to shoot as low a score as I could today. You know, I didn't expect Ernie or Mark to back up today, so I had to try to go out there and catch them.
We mentioned how the good guys of the Ryder Cup team, read that as the U.S., have not fared well at the PGA, while Team Europe has done quite well. The only one on their team not to make the cut was Seve, and he was having back problems. Also not on the list is Miguel Angel Jimenez, who's at 8 under. A good showing tomorrow could push him onto the European Ryder Cup team. Susie?
Former NBA scoring champ Dominique Wilkins is going for the big bucks again. Remember last season he opted for a paycheck over a shot at a championship by signing with the Celtics? Then the whole season went sour. Well, now he's saying goodbye to Boston and the NBA. Dominique is going Greek. An Athens team has announced that the 6'8" forward has signed a 2-year contract for $7 million. That's the largest contract outside the NBA. Wilkins has 2 years left on his Boston contract, but has been at odds with the club over an $8.4 million loan he says he's owed. The team says Wilkins wasn't entitled to the money because of the lockout. Despite the fact that Wilkins was the Celtics' leading scorer in the 94-95 regular season, by Knick standards, it wasn't so hot. Wilkins felt frustrated with his teammates, wanted the ball more. His average dropped along with his playing time. Now at 35, after 14 years in the NBA, he may end his career in Greece.
Florida State head football coach Bobby Bowden doesn't mind the pressure. He believes everyone wants to be the best, so he'd rather be #1 than #3. Makes sense, right? The Associated Press put out their preseason college football poll 30 minutes ago, and Bowden gets his wish. For the 4th time in 8 years, the Seminoles will start the season atop the AP poll. More importantly, they finished in the top 4 all 8 years. They returned 14 starters from last year's team. Nebraska's 2. They did get 15 first-place votes. Texas A&M coming off probation, they're 3rd. It's their highest preseason ranking since 1957. 6 through 10, Auburn, Southern Cal, Tennessee, the Irish, and Alabama. The Crimson Tide were put on NCAA probation earlier this month. Miami is 11th. First time since 1985, the Hurricanes haven't started in the top 10. Ohio State, Colorado, Michigan, and Oklahoma 15th. 16 through 20, UCLA, Virginia, Texas, Arizona, and North Carolina. And your final 5, for now at least, Wisconsin, Boston College, and West Virginia, with Virginia Tech and Washington tied for the final spot. So with all that in mind, some of your better matchups for the upcoming season. Florida and Auburn, it's always a good time, especially after the Gators collapsed in the final 90 seconds of the get-together last season. And more fun for Florida when they host Florida State. The Seminoles have dropped just 1 of the last 9 meetings. If the Gators get by Auburn and FSU beats Miami in October, then by the time November 18th rolls around, you could have a matchup of undefeated teams. Well, 63-year-old Mickey Mantle remains in serious condition today at Baylor University Medical Center. Doctors citing the Mick's current lack of strength have postponed his chemotherapy indefinitely and did not start in with what is supposed to be a new cancer-fighting method. The staff is just trying to make the Mick as comfortable as possible with painkillers. All of the treatments will be decided upon on a day-to-day basis. Still to come on this Saturday Sports Center. We'll go to Sweden, track and field championships. Good reason for the long faces on the U.S. relay team. And then from Sweden to Ohio in a matter of minutes, Andre Agassi in heat while trying to get to the finals of the ATP Championships.
At any point during last year's IndyCar season, you wouldn't have been going out on a limb to pick Al Unser Jr. to take the checkered flag. After all, he did it 8 times. That includes the Miller Genuine Draft 200 at Lexington, Ohio, where Penske finished 1, 2, 3. The Indy boys are back at Mid-Ohio this weekend, but this time around, Jacques Villeneuve has the Midas touch with 4 wins. Yesterday, Villeneuve set a new track record. Today, rain kept most of the drivers off the track. This sunshine courtesy of Friday. Michael Andretti posted the 3rd fastest lap time on Friday, averaging over 120 miles per hour. Brian Herta will start in the number 2 spot. No one's as hot as a pole sitter, Canadian Jacques Villeneuve, after setting a new track record of 121.192 miles per hour. He didn't even attempt an official lap today, despite his success.
It's not that it's a better series or it is bigger, you know, it's international and so on, and the technological level is higher, and the cars are much faster in the corners and brake harder, but it's not like a big step up like Atlantic or Indy Lights to IndyCar. It's not the same type of step.
So it's Villeneuve on the pole, Brian Herta alongside. Villeneuve leads the point standings by 30 points over Bobby Rahal, but watch out. Mid-Ohio is one of Rahal's favorite courses. Check it out live on ABC Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The Busch Grand National, Burnham 150, like the 7 plagues. First there was rain, then came the fire. 3 crewmen suffered minor burns to their feet and eyebrows during a fire in the pits. More injuries at the end of the race. Number 77, Victor Sifton in front, gets bumped by 63. Curtis Markham. Sifton crashed into the wall and flips his car. He was alert after the crash but had to be taken to the hospital where he complained of sore elbows. He will have x-rays. Your winner today, the number 1 car, Joe Bessie, his first win in 1995. We're happy to report there were no locusts out there. There were, however, 4 caution flags for 17 laps. Winston Cup runs the Watkins Glen Road Course tomorrow. Mark Martin on the pole and going for a 3-peat. If we had 3 networks, we'd put it on all 3, but there's only 2. In-car camera on ESPN2, traditional view on ESPN Sunday, 1 Eastern. And there's more. Get your Sunday going with the Hungarian Grand Prix. Damon Hill on the pole. The F1 crowd cranks it up 7:50 a.m. Eastern Time, taking you up to Sunday Sports Weekly.
When Andre Agassi says this is hotter than the desert, he knows of what he speaks. I mean, the guy was born and raised in Las Vegas. And at the ATP Championships in Mason, Ohio, the weather would dictate the Agassi wardrobe. Today, just too hot for the usual black socks and black shoes for his semifinal match against Thomas Engqvist. The temps topping 120 degrees, and Andre brought out the whites, socks and shoes anyway. Engqvist ends the volley with the forehand winner, which just catches the line. Andre not thrilled about the call from the chair ump, Norm Crissett. Agassi serving up 5-4 in the first set. Engqvist barely returns it, and Andre the smash taking the first set 6-4. Engqvist trying to avoid the heat. Just not a problem for the kid from Vegas. And Andre the running forehand. Agassi wins 6-4, 6-2. So Andre has played 8 hard court tourneys this season, making the finals in all of them. More of the same hot weather is expected for tomorrow's final. Agassi will take on either Michael Chang or Michael Stich. They're playing in the other semi at this hour. The action can be seen on ESPN2. Tennis and ESPN2 will go together again Tuesday night, and not just any match. Monica Seles will make her official return to the pro ranks. The Du Maurier Open from Canada, Tuesday night, 7 Eastern on ESPN2.
No such thing as a sure thing in sports, but the USA winning the men's 400-meter relay at the World Championships is about as close as you come. The United States had won the previous 4, and we're going for 5, despite losing Dennis Mitchell to injury. To Gothenburg, Sweden, opening round of the 400-meter relay. Theodore McCall filling in for Mitchell. Far left side of your screen, you can see. Baton passes demand perfect timing. John Drummond tried twice, could never connect with McCall. And McCall goes over the changeover line. Meanwhile, in the long jump, Cuban's Ivan Pedroso became the first non-American to win the World Championship title with a jump of 28 feet, 6.5 inches. And injured Mike Powell finished 3rd. Carl Lewis had pulled out before the competition. Also today in the men's 110-meter hurdles, Americans Roger Kingnam on the comeback trail, Jack Pierce and Alan Johnson in the middle of your screen. Johnson holds off Tony Jarrett of Great Britain and Kingnam to win in 13 seconds. Straight ahead on SportsCenter, Vinny Testaverde confident that he and the Browns are Super Bowl bound. But first, he has to get out of the hospital. We'll explain. And the Yankees' John Wetland has learned the hard way that no lead is safe against the Indians. A sad story is next. I don't know about you, but I just got used to calling them the L.A. Raiders, and now they're going back. The Oakland Raiders. John Madden on the sideline, the Snake Ken Stabler going long. After 22 years there, 1981 was the last time the Raiders played a regular season game in Oakland. Today, they return from a 13-year road trip and meet who else but the other Los Angeles deserter, the St. Louis Rams. As for the eternal flame at the LA Coliseum, it's out, and the old inner-city rivalry is just Oakland versus St. Louis. So let's say hello again to the Oakland Alameda Coliseum. Najee Mustafa showing you the old Raider style, coming back with a hit on Isaac Bruce. Raiders' new outside linebacker Pat Swilling puts the stop on Leonard Russell for a loss. Swilling fired up. Rams' first-round pick, Kevin Carter, making a good impression. Hits Jeff Hostetler. No go on that pass. In the first half, Raiders up 7-3. Rams 3rd and 1 on the Raiders 34. Jerome Bettis fumbles on his 3rd carry of the game. Patrick Bates to the sideline, and he's taking it. Goes 27 yards before the Rams can bring him down. Raiders' next possession, 1st and goal on the 9-yard line. Hostetler to Andrew Glover in the end zone, the TD. Raiders fans, what do you think? They're not out of practice. Raiders were up then 14-3. The Raiders go on to win it 27-22. Vince Evans, Hostetler's backup, has been around so long he's the only current Raider to have played in Oakland. And by the way, this was a dress rehearsal for the Raiders. You see, home base is still L.A. 8 times this season, they'll fly from L.A. to Oakland for their so-called home games.
Cleveland Browns starting quarterback Vinny Testaverde will reportedly remain hospitalized until at least Tuesday after undergoing minor surgery this past Thursday to have a staph infection drained from his shin. Eric Zier will start for the Browns in their Monday nighter against the Bears. Brad Gable and Jim McMahon are also expected to play. Testaverde was kicked on the inside of the shin during a practice 2 weeks ago, had his leg cut by cleats. Vinny's agent said the quarterback isn't in any pain and actually feels great outside of the frustration of being stuck in the hospital. He said Vinny could be full speed by Wednesday. There was Canadian football action today. That's Joe Ferguson. Calgary at San Antonio. His teammate David Lucas would field the punt on his own 5-yard line. He would cross the 55-yard line. You can do that in the CFL. And go 105 yards for the touchdown. You can also do that in the CFL. San Antonio led 24-8 until late in the second quarter. Doug Flutie would march his Calgary team downfield. Flutie, touchdown pass to Dave Sepujunas with 9 seconds left in the half. Calgary trailed 24-14 at the break. Down 30-24 in the fourth. Texans quarterback Jim Kemp sacked. Alondra Johnson scoops it up and scores the go-ahead touchdown. Calgary avoids the upset 38-30 with 17 fourth-quarter points. Actually, 38-32 is your final. With a first-quarter completion, quarterback Doug Flutie surpassed 20,000 career passing yards for Calgary. That's a lot of yards in any league, and this shouldn't come as a shocker. But the 105 punt return you just saw from San Antonio's David Lucas, that did set a new club record.
Thanks to George Steinbrenner's fat pockets, the Yankees started the season stocked and intent on a pennant run. But time is running out. Consider what transpired in just a little more than 24 hours. The Cleveland Indians rallied to beat New York 3 times. Bottom line, the Yankees better hope August gets a lot better if they hope to be around come October.
On August 5th, the Yankees found themselves only 4.5 games behind Boston. New York had won 14 of 17 and appeared primed to make a run at Boston for the division crown.
And the Yankees, on a bases-loaded single by Mike Stanley, have swept a 4-game series from the Texas Rangers.
But just 7 days later, the Yanks' deficit has doubled, and their bid for a wild card is anything but a lock. The Bronx Bombers' troubles circulate around a bullpen that's blown up. As the lone constant in the Yankee pen this season, John Wetteland's slump couldn't have come at a worse time. Wetteland entered the week having blown only 2 save opportunities all season. This week, he's blown 3.
And the ball game is tied up 5 apiece.
Wetteland entered the week having allowed 9 earned runs this season. This week, Wetteland has been tagged for 6.
Lofton around third. He'll come on and will score to tie the game.
Unfortunately for Buck Showalter, he's had no one else to turn to for relief this week, or for that matter, this season. Steve Howe's ERA is just under 5 since Sunday, but that's actually an improvement compared to Howe's overall numbers. Bob Wickman has been the most effective reliever for the Pinstripers, but his ERA stands at just under 4. While the Yanks' preseason strength has become a glaring weakness, up in Boston, the Red Sox glaring weakness has evolved into a notable strength. Before the arrival of Rick Aguilera in Beantown, the Bo Sox had blown 11 saves. Since Aguilera's arrival, the Red Sox pen has simply blown people away, especially during the Red Sox 9-game winning streak. Back in the role of setup man, Stan Belinda's ERA over the past 9 games is 1.59. Aguilera has chalked up a win, a save, and hasn't allowed a run during this stretch, allowing the Red Sox to savor their current success. Meantime, in the Bronx, they can only hope their savior can return to form before it's too late.
It all adds up to the Yankees falling 9 games back in the East. Since August 1st, the Red Sox 10-1, New York 6-6. The Yanks bullpen has been pathetic with an ERA approaching 6. Meantime, Boston is the only team in the AL with a staff ERA of under 3 so far this month.
Why no baseball highlights today, you ask? Because, silly, it's Baseball Night in America on ABC tonight. Every game starts 8 o'clock local time. Check your local listings for the game in your area. We'll do some of the work for you. In L.A., you'll see the Dodgers and Pirates. In New York, Yanks and Indians. Chi-Town, White Sox and A's. In the Bay Area, gets the Giants and the Cubbies. Still to come on SportsCenter. Today, moving day at the PGA Championship. And Jay Haas moved himself right into contention. Jay talks to Jimmy when we come back. Welcome back to SportsCenter. It is golf's least prestigious title. Corey Pavin owned it for a long time. As the best player not to win a major. He lost the dubious honor when he won the U.S. Open. While others are not exactly clamoring for Pavin's old spot, there is competition. And Jay Haas has to be right there. He's got 9 tour victories, not a major among them. But after 3 rounds at the PGA, he's at 9 under and in positive position. Haas is standing by with our Jimmy Roberts.
All right, thanks very much. They call Saturday on the PGA Tour moving day. The reason, it's the players make their move. And Jay Haas with a 64 on Saturday, a pretty good move, but it wasn't a conventional round. A lot up and down in there, wasn't there?
A lot up and down, Jimmy. When I missed the green, I was fortunate enough to chip it fairly close, make the putts. Then I started hitting a couple close ones with my irons out of the fairways and made the putts for the birdies.
Only 3 two-putt greens?
You didn't have to tell anybody that. No, it was a pretty strange day. I didn't hit that many greens, but like I said, when I managed to hit a green, I made the birdie putt and hit some good chips, good bunker shots, and just a magic day.
Most of the discussion here has been on how the course has been so easy, but you don't think it's going to get any easier, do you?
You know, yesterday afternoon, when the wind picked up a little bit, the greens really got hard and dry, and the spike marks made it pretty tough to putt. So, you know, I would think later in the day the course will play a little more difficult than it did this afternoon or this morning. You know, it remains to be seen. I think the guys, the leaders, are obviously playing well. They're off to a pretty good start already this morning. So, you know, hopefully they won't get too far away.
All right, so Jay Haas, who says that Saturday was just one of those days, is 64. He hopes that Sunday will once again be one of those days. Jimmy Roberts at the PGA. Now let's head back to the studio.
Jimmy, thanks. No winner since June for Jay, but still not too shabby. Would have had another top 10 finish to add to the list from last week's Buick Open, if not for a 2 over 74 on the last day. Haas will try and avoid that same fate tomorrow.
Following SportsCenter in about 3 minutes, Robin Roberts hosts In the Sports Light. Among her guests, the man who may have made Reggie Miller an all-star, movie director and big-time NBA fan, Spike Lee.
Strolling through our news and notes department, the football Giants lost left guard Scott Davis for the entire season with a torn knee ligament in his left knee that was suffered during last night's win over the Saints. And a proposed deal between the Pirates and the Astros that would have sent Jeff King and Orlando Merced to the Stros in exchange for pitching prospect Billy Wagner was nixed when another team put in a waiver claim for King and Merced to the Bucks. They were forced to pull him back. It's believed the Reds were the ones who foiled the deal. It would make sense since he's being chased by Houston in the National League Central Division.
The next SportsCenter comes your way at 11 Eastern with Linda Cohn and Craig Kilborn. I'm Susie Calder.
Yeah, they'll have much more, of course, on the events of the PGA Championship. Ernie Els, your leader, through 3 rounds. I'm Steve Levy. Baseball tonight at midnight Eastern with Mike Tirico and Roy Smalley. Now stay tuned for In the Sports Light with Robin Roberts.
Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.